Move to the interior part of the job. In here we need to grab the brake pedal position switch. If you have a manual transmission, you're going to need the clutch pedal position switch. This is an automatic car, so I'm not going to be able to show you that. You're going to need the steering wheel with the cruise switches. You're going to need the clock spring connector, and then a bunch of random wires. You need one 2-foot wire. Need 4-foot wires and two 5-foot wires. So first off, we're going to need to take out these 4 8mm bolts. I have loaded on here a 5/16, which will also work. It's pretty simple to do this. That should just pull down. Now you're going to need to remove the OBD2 connector. Just use a small flathead and just kind of pry it out, and that'll just pop out. And then this you can just discard. Alright, now that we've gotten that taken off, let's go ahead and make it easy on ourselves and remove the steering wheel. To do that, you're going to need your flathead screwdriver. I might need to reposition this. Okay, to do this, all you need to do is stick your screwdriver. This one's already removed. Actually, first, before that, you're going to need a T20. And normally there would be 3 screws right here. You just take those out. Then you take your flathead and pop the cover down. Pull down like so. Discard. And the top cover, normally it won't come off this easily, but it was actually detached. Normally this is inside that bezel where the instrument panel goes. So normally you would have to kind of fight with that. Alright, so next up is we're going to take the airbag off. This is a junkyard car, so there's no battery in it, but if there was a battery on your donor car, you'd want to go ahead and remove the negative cable or the positive cable and let that discharge for about 10 to 15 minutes, just so if there's any built-up charge that you don't blow yourself in the face. Then you're going to need a 5.5mm wrench, socket wrench, and on the back side, you can kind of feel there's a screw hole on the far right side of the steering wheel and also the far left. Just going to take your socket, wrench, and remove those 2. And they're not actually going to fully remove, they're just going to kind of loosen, and then the actual airbag's just kind of clipped in after that. Okay. Got one side all the way out. The next side is still a little tricky. Okay, there we go. Now, come over here and you'll see that you have these 2 connectors. The yellow one, or the one on the far right, is the airbag, and the left is the cruise control. So take those out. All you really need to do is take a little flathead, press down on that, and then you can just kind of remove the whole connector. Put you back down over here. You're just gonna have to trust me. And discard your airbag. Alright, so now we are left with the steering wheel. That is a 24mm bolt. I don't have a socket that big, so I'm going to do the getaway and use this large crescent wrench, a little Black & Decker. All you're going to need to do is clamp onto that. And alright, there we go. And that should just come right off. If I won't keep tightening it. Loosening, I mean. There we go. Alright, and then you should be able to just take it off right with your fingers. Those are my papers. Okay, and then you can actually just discard that. Now, same thing with the cruise control switch connector, just a little clip. And you just kind of stick your flathead in there and it just pops right out. Now the steering wheel will be a little stuck in there. You just take your and just pop it out. Alright, and there you go. There is your steering wheel with your cruise switches. You can get on your checklist and knock that off the list. Next, this is the clock wheel. You're going to need that. This yellow piece, you're already going to have that in your car, so don't worry about that. But you are going to need the clock spring. To get that off, you're going to need to remove the wiper and the turn signal modules. They just have little clips that you can just pop your finger in and pull out. Same thing with the turn signal. Pop your finger in and pull out. Now there's a clip right there. And also a clip right there. Basically all you gotta do is stick your screwdriver in kind of right there, kind of twist out. And that should come forward just enough to get it over the clip. Then you come to the other side, do the same thing, and now it should just pop right off and dangle. Now over here is your clock spring connector. It varies. This is a 2001, so this is going to be the same type as in the 2000 and 2001. The 02, 03, and 04 have a different looking one, but it's basically the same concept. But you are going to need to take this with you. Now, one thing you are going to need to notice, that in here of the clock spring, your current one, if you do not have cruise control inside, will not have all those tiny itty bitty little wires. It'll just be blank. You'll have those two big ones over there and then have like another two big ones right there. So this is essential that you get this clock spring connector because those wires in the middle are the actual wires that go to your cruise control switches. And this just has a little clip on it. You can just take that right off. Let's see if I can put this down for you. And there's your clock spring. Take that with you. You're also going to need this connector. This connector. You actually don't need the connector itself, you just need the 3 wires that are going into it. And you're also going to need an extra wire because that wire is going to go up to the gauge cluster. But in your junkyard list, it also says to get a bunch of wire. So I'm basically going to take all of these wires with me, just so you can get as much wire as you can without needing to come back for more or buy some more. It's only like $2 they charge for a small wiring harness. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the wiper thing. You can do this with your fingers. Get rid of that. Actually, you might want to keep that, and if you have a no cruise control, you probably don't have the intermittent wiper switch, and that has like the little rotating thing that has the 6 different speeds. Okay, so you're just going to come over here and just going to start disconnecting as much stuff as you can. You got the one that goes to the ignition, there's a little clip on that. Pull that down, and then the one that goes to the starter, or whatever. And pull that down too. Now, this is where your razor blade is going to come in, because there's a shit ton of electrical tape over here. So you're just going to start cutting away. And that's going to release your wires from the little plastic thing that's up there. Don't be afraid to, if you cut some wire, the whole reason why you're grabbing all of these is if you cut them, you have enough for everything else that you're going to need them for. And there's a couple clips in here. You just take your screwdriver, pry those down, encountering some more electrical tape. We can cut that down too. Alright. Now we are going down to the brake system. Not really the system, but there's going to be these 2 switches. This one is called the stop lamp switch. This one is called the brake pedal position switch. Your car is already going to have the stop lamp switch, so you do not need that. You are going to need this little green thing, which is the brake pedal position switch. So, to remove that, all you're going to do is push in and turn counterclockwise. And it just kind of popped right out. I do recommend getting this clip that goes to the stop lamp switch. When you make your wiring harness, it's just going to be a little bit easier if you have that with you. So if you go ahead and just take your screwdriver, you can just pop that clip out. It just pops out. And so now, you got all these wires. Now, to get to all these wires and get as much as you can, I'm going to go ahead and take this panel off because it's kind of in the way. So I think this is going to be, no, that's going to be a little bit smaller. I forgot what size that was. It's not 1/4 inch. Let me check. Alright, 9/32 works. So I'll use that. I'm sure there's a specific millimeter rating for this, but whatever. Take that off. I think that just kind of pops out. I may be mistaken. Oh, there we go. That pops off. We're good to go. Actually, you know what? That's going to be in our way either way, but it does give me a better view of what's going on down over here. Alright, so now we're going to take our wire cutters. The fog light switch has a connector on it. I don't want that, so I'm just going to cut that thing off. So now I've got this free hanging wiring harness. Okay, so you can see wiring harness kind of goes up here. There's a little connector on there, or a little Christmas tree clip. I'm just going to pull on that. That's just going to pop that off. And then if you push around, you can kind of feel that there's some electrical tape back there. You know what? This thing's kind of in my way. This air vent, if you actually just grab right here, you can kind of just jab that down. I've done it before. Maybe I'll grab somewhere else. There we go. And that just pulls out. Hate that thing. Okay, so now we're coming back over here. See if I can turn my light on. You can kind of see. That's our wiring harness now. There's some more. It goes into that white thing, and that's just a cable guide. And we're gonna try and get as much wire as we can. So we're actually there's gonna be some electrical tape up there, and use my box cutter and try to remove as much as I can. And actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and get this fuse panel taken out, because that's where all those wires actually go. So, don't want to drop the iPhone in the nasty water. Should have hired a cameraman. Okay. So, just 2 bolts there. Get your flathead. You actually don't even need your flathead. You just take those screws and then pop it up, and that all just kind of falls down. Okay, now that we have all this, get our wire cutters. We'll cut all these zip ties. Try not to cut any wires though. And then just go ahead and start unplugging all these connectors. Break them if you want to, it doesn't really matter. Ow, that just hit me in the face. Okay. Now normally this is not the way you would remove these, but again, this is just a junkyard car. And it looks like we got one more. Okay, there we go, and we can get rid of that. Alright, now attached to this glob of wires is also wires that go down in here. We don't want those wires, so I'm just going to cut the crap out of this. Almost. Oh, finally. Okay. So now all the wires that used to go to the fuse box are now kind of loose for us. They go straight up to that plastic thing. So this is the wires that go to the steering column and everything. And then that goes down to where the fuse box is. So all that electrical tape right there, we just need to cut that out. so we can get this whole strand of wires out. And this set of wires, where's that go to? Who cares? We'll cut it. We just want the big main thing. Oh, you know what? That actually came out pretty easily. Just kind of popped right out for us. Might not be as easy for y'all. I have no idea if that's in focus or what. Okay, so I'm gonna cut all these. Those out of the way. Alright, so now we are almost where we want to be. Okay, so now one last dilemma, just more wire cutting. Okay, focus, there we go. Okay, so this right here goes down to where the fuse box was. This right here is where it goes to the steering column. And then back in here, it's very hard to get my hands in here. Back there goes to the rest of the car. We don't want that, so we're gonna again use wire cutters and cut the crap out of that. Ugh. It looks like, see that a piece of electrical tape right there on that plastic piece? Might be able to just cut that. Like so. Have that kind of pop that wiring harness down. Oh wow, look at that. It just gave us a lot more room to play with. But again, we don't want those wires, so we're just gonna cut them. Now, what we have here is pretty much all the wire you're going to need. Not pretty much, it is all the wire you're going to need. You got your clock spring connector right there. You really just need that for the wires that are inside. And you got your stop lamp switch with plug, and also the brake position sensor switch, and then also the stop lamp switch plug. So you got all that. That should be enough wire for everything that you're going to do.